Hey guys, it's Erin with Hand Stamp Style, and I am so excited to share this card with you today. What I really want to share with you are a couple of tips actually on how to create a really simple card. You'll notice that with a few pieces of cardstock and some embossing folders and just one stamp set, we're able to make a very cute card. This is really super simple, and I kind of used more what I would consider masculine colors just because it really I think as stampers we tend to kind of focus on more feminine colors, and by doing that we kind of put ourselves in a corner because we run out of things to send to like male coworkers or male friends, things like that. So I wanted to show you guys a card that would be kind of universal because this would work for a woman as well. So I can't wait to show you how to create this card, and you're gonna love how simple this is. So let's get into it. These are the 1.5 inch squares that we're going to be using. I'm going to round the corners on opposite ends for all of these pieces. The long piece is 1.5 by 2 7/8. Now we're going to put them in our embossing folders. To determine which folder I'm going to use for what color, I'm going to lay my elements out onto my cardstock. The star goes really well with the taupe, and so the other two just end up being the blues. So we're going to place them in our embossing folders, trying to position them in a way that allows you to get the most texture, the most print pattern for the amount of cardstock that you have. So I might move it around a little bit to see what works best. And then I'm going to run them through my Big Shot. The sandwich that you actually need for your Big Shot would be your multi-purpose platform, then a clear plate. Then you would put in your embossing folder and then your clear plate on top of that, and you're actually going to run that through. You're going to use the little shim folders that are on there. Just look at your plate to determine which ones should be opened or closed, because they do vary depending on where you get them from. You can see that the embossing folders added a really good amount of interest. And this is the stamp set that we're using. I love those little pieces in the set that actually coordinate with this punch pack that we're going to be using as well. We're using Whisper White ink along with Bermuda Bay and Early Espresso. And we're just going to stamp our elements onto the coordinating cardstock pieces. And I'm going to punch them out using the punches that coordinate with this stamp set. The stamp set's actually called Something to Say. It's a wonderful set. Now I'm going to position these onto my 4 3/4 by 3.5 piece of Whisper White cardstock, and I'm putting dimensionals on the back of these pieces. I'm actually going to dry fit them, meaning I'm going to place them kind of where I want them to go before I stick them down. That's what I recommend when you've got kind of a piece like this where you have to kind of position them perfectly apart. I probably should have done that to all of them before sticking them down, because you'll see in a second that I have to move a couple of them. This isn't quite centered perfectly, so I'm going to reposition this taupe and the Bermuda. This really isn't that difficult, especially if you've just put your pieces down. They should come up fairly easily, and as long as you take your time and you're not too rough with it, you may even be able to reuse the dimensionals without having to replace them. Now I'm going to actually stamp out my elements. I'm using the Whisper White ink on the Bermuda Bay and the Bermuda Bay ink on the Pool Party cardstock. So I'm going to punch out those pieces, and I'm actually going to secure them. I'm having a hard time getting this one out just because I put it in a weird spot on the cardstock. So I have to trim some of it away to be able to get the punch to fit in there to outline the image perfectly. So it's always a good idea to do this on the corner. Now we're going to stamp our sentiment right there in the open spot with our Early Espresso ink. I use very small dimensionals. I cut them down actually to small pieces to fit them on the back of my elements for my the little punched pieces. And I just cut them directly off of my dimensional sheet, and that way I don't typically have them stick to my scissors, which works out really nicely. You just want to figure out where you want to put your pieces and secure them down. I wanted all of them to kind of be sort of near the kind of clustered in the center,
somewhat, just to give you a focal point for the card itself. Now we're going to attach this entire piece to my 4 7/8 by 3 5/8 piece of Early Espresso cardstock. We're going to take a few more dimensionals and we are going to secure this to the card base, just like so. And of course, what's great about this set is that it comes with sentiments for the inside of your card as well, so you don't have to have a naked card inside. Now we're going to embellish with a little bit of dazzling details. I'm outlining my little elements, and I'm going to go ahead and put some dazzling details on the raised portions of a few of the embossing folders. I'm outlining some of the hearts, put a little bit on some of the raised dots, and that is our card.
Wasn't that so simple? It really is. I mean, of course, you can always make really elaborate, time-intensive cards, but sometimes simple just says exactly what you need without a lot of muss or fuss. So I hope you guys liked this. With just a few pieces of cardstock and a couple of embossing folders, you're able to make an adorable card. So I hope you guys give this a try, and I've got some tips and tricks for you coming up later this week for this card as well. So I hope you guys had fun. If you liked this project and you think that you have a friend or a family member or a coworker that would like to see this project as well, please do me a favor and share this video with them. Thank you for doing that in advance, and I hope you guys had fun. Until next time, guys, be creative, have fun, and take care.